Thank you for joining us and welcome to Business Incorporated on Channels Television. I'm Chimize Obi Iwago. On the show today, Kenya's NSE kicks off futures trading with most liquid stocks. IMF supports Congo's economic and financial reform program with $448.6 million. Plus, Egypt opens new international airport for trial period. We get the show started with the markets, and investor sentiments were mixed in Africa at intraday, with the JSE index up 0.17%, while the NSE was down 0.10%. Egypt's index closed for the week negative on Thursday, down 1.43%, and Kenya finished positive on Thursday. And markets in the Gulf region closed for the week positive on Thursday, except Dubai's index, which eased 0.06%. The Saudi stock market rose 0.70% as nearly all its banks surged ahead of earnings announcements, while in Qatar, the index reversed course to rise 0.06%, with Qatar Insurance up 3.1%. The Abu Dhabi index increased 0.51%, with First Abu Dhabi Bank ending 1.1% higher, and Adler Properties up 2%. And in Europe, stocks traded higher on Friday morning as investors reacted to new Chinese trade data and German car maker Daimler's warning to expect a second quarter loss before interest and taxes of 1.6 billion euros. Well, Chelsea Dolany is standing by at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange to tell us more. Hello, Chelsea. Good to see you and welcome to the team.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Right. Well, Daimler has delivered another shock to the market, slashing its profit forecast for 2019 for the second time in a month. Now, the company is blaming higher than expected costs related to ongoing diesel investigations and recalls for defective airbags. Are investors reacting to this news?
They are. Investors are reacting negatively. Daimler shares is down for the day. It has recovered a little bit, but this was a surprise for investors, and mostly because Daimler actually cut its forecast about 3 weeks ago. So what's changed since then? Investors really weren't expecting another cut, but basically Daimler is saying that there are more costs related to these diesel vehicle recalls than they expected. So last month, the German government recalled about 40,000 Daimler vehicles. So this is sort of this ongoing, this very long-running scandal over emissions cheating. And they also blamed an airbag recall. But I think what's concerning for investors here is that they also mentioned some things that could turn into bigger problems. So they mentioned a slowdown in the auto industry generally. They mentioned some production ramp-up problems, and that can impact not just Daimler but also the entire European auto industry. And so that also raises questions about how the trade tensions with China are impacting the global economy, the European auto industry, and things like that. So Daimler is up or has pared some losses, but the stock is still down about 15% over the past couple months. So there really is a lot for investors to be thinking about here.
All right, in another development, a panel of government advisors have urged Germany to introduce a carbon pricing system to help curb emissions. What options is Germany considering, and how will this impact companies?
So there are two main options that Germany has been looking at, and they've been debating this for a while now, but momentum is really starting to build. So the first option is a carbon tax. So you would sort of put a tax on fossil fuels, things like heating fuel or gasoline, diesel, things like that. So that's one option, and the second option is to broaden out the EU's emission trading system. So right now there are a couple German industries and a couple EU-wide industries that are included in this cap and trade system where a company gets a certain amount of emissions that they can reach, and they can trade these certificates. And so one of the options is to broaden that out into other industries, and the panel is recommending that Germany consider including the transportation and the heating industries in the cap and trade system. And, you know, Germany still has a long way to go in the political debate over these systems. You know, they still have several months before they plan to give a report on it. But there's already a lot of concerns over how this is going to impact companies and also consumers. So, you know, companies haven't really come out one way or another yet, but one of the big concerns is how this is going to impact electricity prices. Either option that Germany goes with, there will most likely be an increase in electricity prices. So the German industry organizations are saying either option that Germany chooses, they really need to make sure this doesn't impact electricity prices for companies, and also that it doesn't burden consumers.
And another big one out there, France's Airbus says it has gotten an order worth roughly 6 billion euros from Air China for 20 new planes. So how is this impacting Airbus's rivalry with Boeing?
So Airbus and Boeing have had this sort of back and forth rivalry for really decades now, and Boeing has been the world's largest plane maker for the past 7 years. And now it looks like Airbus is going to overtake Boeing. They had delivery numbers, both companies, earlier this week. And Airbus was up 28% in the first half, while Boeing was down 37%. So it does look like Airbus is set to overtake Boeing, mostly because Boeing has been having these problems with its 737 MAX, which has been grounded since March. So that's definitely taken a bite out of its deliveries, but also, you know, the U.S.-China trade problems have also been helping Airbus. And I think, you know, the deal today, or the deal yesterday, is the latest in that. There was another order between Airbus and Air China earlier this year, and you know, these deals are being perceived as the U.S. sort of using these, or China using these deals as a way to send a political message to the U.S. As it sort of carries out this trade dispute. But for Airbus, this is really a good thing because China is expected to overtake the U.S. as the world's largest air travel market in the next couple of years. So everyone's sort of fighting for a piece of the Chinese market right now, and it looks like Airbus is the one that's getting it.
Only God knows when their rivalry will end. Anyway, thank you for those updates. I'm Chelsea. We hope to see you pretty soon. Thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of the weekend.